All right, welcome to another edition of the Extra Point. It is week number 1 here in North Florida, across the Panhandle and back across to the Big Bend. And myself, Coach Cofield, and Jupe are here to talk about it. One of the biggest things about week number 1 is that everybody has a winning record right now. Everybody's a playoff contender. Nothing's been decided because no games have been played officially in the books. Although we did get a chance to take in some of the preseason last week, saw some good things. But for this week right now, everybody's on the same playing field. And that's probably, the best way to start the season is not really looking more so towards all the speculation, but really spotting the ball and let's see who's going to line up and get the job done. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. I think, for the most part, I'm really excited. FAMU getting ready to take on Norfolk State here in Atlanta. Definitely going to try and check that one out with my family. And then the Garnet and Gold has crossed the ocean, and they are in Ireland right now, getting ready to take on Georgia Tech. Man, it's an exciting time to kick off what is essentially week 0 for college football. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't know if you guys saw, but we have Jimbo Fisher sighting spotted in getting off the plane in Ireland. So I don't know about you all. Do you put him on staff? You don't. You're already paying him anyway.
Nope. Leave him. Let him stay. Let him watch the game. He's not going to be the type of guy to just sit there and not be in charge. So he's a good fan. I guess he knows somebody on the team.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to.
I joke that he could put that Christmas tree back up now. He kind of left by the side of the road. Like, I don't know. That might be a cold move. Jimbo can recruit. He's a quarterback guy. The university's still paying him. Technically, it would be, it'd be a no-brainer. He might be a good addition to the staff. But, I just thought that, Jimbo being it kind of feels like he didn't really want to leave Tallahassee, We don't really know, but it's kind of weird to see your former coach following you around, especially when you have a big game coming up like that.
Everybody needs fans, Mark.
That's true. And Mark, I don't know, maybe the time has kind of slipped your mind, but I think it was very clear he wanted out of Tallahassee. When he was on the way out.
I think that's just the mystique of what happens when you are not a championship caliber team. I think there's so many forgiving fans here in Tallahassee that just kind of are nostalgic and remember the good old days, and not the way they don't remember the they don't remember the Christmas tree, the radio call-in show that went left. They like to forget,
or revisionist history, Mark. I think
right.
We're all kind of throwing around synonyms here, but he might be getting in. Who says it's for FSU? Maybe it's for this McClay-Wyndham game he's trying to get in. And Mark, he's trying to rope himself back into the high school season.
We know one thing: Jimbo Fisher can coach football for free for the rest of his life, and still have more money than us. Other stuff going on around the sports world. This was long overdue. I said this when she was in college. Like, I would have thought Reese's would have stepped up to the plate a long time ago. But, Angel Reese finally getting the deal done with Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. That's just a no-brainer. The sponsorship and the merch is going to be through the roof, of course. So congrats to her on finally getting that deal done. But, I would have thought with NIL when she was back at LSU, that would have been like an easy slam dunk.
She wasn't hurting for money in college anyway, Mark. She probably didn't. They didn't come up with enough money for her at the time. But that's a great combination. That's easy to come up with. And
absolutely. I don't know if anybody at Reese's marketing team had to work on that one. I think it just had to be a couple of phone calls and just making sure the dollar signs lined up right for her, of course. It'll be interesting to see if Caitlin Clark kind of counters with the Clark bar. I don't know. And then, of course, we had Delaware State. And Delaware State missed the flight. Like, how do you – they had a snafu on the way. The bus apparently, didn't get them to the airport in time, and they missed their flight to Hawaii, 10 and a half hours. anytime you play a road game, there's a schedule you have to follow. You know how that is, Coach Cofield, where you got everything timed down to the hour and the minute. You know where you're supposed to be and know where you have. Who takes the blame for this?
Man, somebody messed up on the scheduling, and whoever organized it, you can't blame the head coach. He's usually not in charge of that. So I don't know. It don't make no sense to miss the bus or the flight or whatever. You got plenty of time. You knew all summer what time you had to be there.
Yeah, I don't see an excuse for that. Somebody at the bus come. I wouldn't be surprised if Delaware State either changed their charter bus tour line or found a new bus driver, because ain't no excuse for that. So, but yeah, we got a great slate to get into. I'm really excited about this week 1 schedule. A lot of what we have seen, over the summertime, especially in camp and of course at media day, it's been leading up to this. We got a lot of great games. Really looking forward to, really what is a lot of road contests. We're going to get a chance to see whether or not some teams have reloaded, rebuilt, or are ready to return to playoff form for the 2024 season. So let's go ahead and jump into the schedule. Juba had a fun time breaking this one down because I really enjoyed, looking at, just a lot of the matchups that really intrigued me. Coach, I know you saw several games that really stuck out to you. So let's go ahead and jump into the week number 1 schedule. Of course, starting off heavyweights. We got Rickards hosting Godby. This one here is definitely, I don't know how you can't have this one circled. Rickards, they return a lot of talent, and then Godby, the coach hosting era begins. There's just a lot there to this one. Juke, you had a chance to kind of really sink your teeth into this one. What do you see about this game that stands out to you?
Well, I think just the excitement around both the programs. I think this is the last time. Obviously, you said it. Everybody's coming in undefeated, right? I think it's the last time these two teams undefeated. 2017. You think of that 11-2 Godby team. Rick started 5-0 that year. They were 5-0, 6-0. But just watching the lines and watching the skill players and the combination of both, if the preseason games were any indication of what we could see, the defensive lines were absolutely dominant on both sides, and the offensive lines were dominant on both sides. So it's going to be an absolute battle. And then I like the skill positions on both sides. Like I said, Carlisle Price went for like 167 on the ground for Rick. Lazarus Chambers felt like he could pack a picnic lunch back there with all the time he had in the pocket, and he was just slinging all over the field. He looked really good on film. And I think it's the biggest, baddest rivalry in the area. And when both teams are competitive, this is one of the funnest matchups. And I don't think we have a better rivalry here in North Florida when both teams are good to go and the fan bases are bought in. So I hope that they've been watching the highlights the last couple weeks, gang, because this could be an absolute awesome game. And that's not exaggerating at all.
No, not at all. I'm really excited to see both of these teams line up. Rickards, their defense with Coach Lewis and what he's been able to do, especially with this team that he has. I think Rickards has kind of gone under the radar a little bit. Not as much hype going into the summer, but I think that's the way Coach Lewis likes it. I think he's ready to really have a kind of a breakout season. Especially on both sides of the ball, which is, one of those things when Rickards is balanced, they turn into a very deadly team. And then, of course, Godby under Coach Holston now, a brand new era, lots of new energy. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Up next, we have Arnold hosting Bay. And then Arnold ushering in the Jason Griffin era. He takes over and, really just, for them, I think it's just going to breathe a lot of new energy into the Arnold Marlins program. But they're taking on a very young but talented Panama City Bay team that really has a lot of weapons across the field. They will have to, I think Arnold will definitely have to do a pretty solid job of containing Javar Bowden. He's just one of those standouts that just can play anywhere. one of those things where it's just like, you're excited to take over a program, but then your first matchup is going to be a real test at home. And so I think for Arnold, it's definitely going to be a lot of energy, but this is going to be a very talented Bay squad that Arnold's definitely going to have their hands full to open up the season. Moving on, we got Leon hosting John Paul. Lions definitely looking forward to kicking things off with Coach Mosley, and just really it'll be a great environment for them to kind of open up the home slate with.
Mark, I think this is going to be an interesting year for John Paul because for 4 years, Tremaine Hughes has dominated playing quarterback and was instrumental in that offense. He did everything for the Panthers, and the Leon Lions with a new coach, hopefully a new attitude. This should be a very interesting game. It should be a close one. I guess we'll talk about who we think will win later, but awesome matchup. I think a great matchup for these two teams, these two coaches.
Yeah, I'm a coach on this one. This one kind of flies under the radar. I think a lot of people want to see what these teams are. Like Coach was saying, you know what the team looks like with Tremaine Hughes. And on the other side, you knew what Leon was with McGriff. They were on the upswing. But I think people want them to kind of prove it. So I want to see what Kent Peoples has. And then I like what DJ Figures has going on as that athlete position, the young sophomore, who I've been told has got an offer from Stanford on the table, class of 27. And then, of course, on the other side, I think Cayman Upshaw, he's a lot of fun. He's getting some look. Fam's got an offer on the table. Coach Proms wants to bring him into the mix. So I like the line from JP2, the defense. But like you said, can they replace the void, the huge gap that Tremaine Hughes Jr. is going to leave behind in his wake?
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on down, Crawfordville will have a big game with Wakulla hosting Port St. Joe. Then we got one of the state's, I think it's the state's oldest rivalry with Bluntstown and Mariana. That's always a good one. Bluntstown and Liberty County, my bad. Just a one-time zone and like maybe 15 minutes separate both schools. They're that close together. It's really one of those where I like the matchups. Definitely looking forward to seeing Coach Wagner and opening up the new look for the Tigers. That's going to be a great game. Then we got Chipley hosting NFC, and this one caught my eye mostly because NFC under Coach Nichols, they're having a complete overhaul. And one of the things with NFC is that we're so used to the Eagles being that team, and so with this year, there's a little bit of intrigue because we're just not familiar with a lot of what Coach Nichols is going to do to kind of open up the season. But man, we definitely got a great look at Chipley last season. The Tigers were one of the teams to be out in the Panhandle. They definitely made a lot of noise. They graduated a bit, but now they also returned. Most of those juniors are now seniors. Now they bring back a lot of talent from last season. Quarterback Malik Henderson and running back Kibo Decree are going to lead that offense. And these guys were standouts on defense last year, and now they're really taking on their roles as offensive guys, and they're going to be tough to contain. Really for NFC is that can they return to form? Can they return to what we're used to seeing from NFC football? So there's a lot of question marks there, and we'll get a chance to see how that unfolds when they play on Friday night. Moving around the area, we got Mariana hosting Walton, and that's an intriguing game too. Walton definitely one of the tougher teams out in the Panhandle, and then Mariana, I think they bring back 20 guys.
Dang, that's too many. Somebody's not gonna be happy.
Yeah, that's the sophomore class from. Sorry, Coach. Am I jumping in on you? Go for it.
Well, you got it, because I know I kind of understand, but it should be a great matchup.
Yeah, that sophomore class because they really had, like, it seems every 3 years they have a huge wave of seniors and then they go super young. So I remember that sophomore class coming through a couple years ago. But also they're a little more fun and gun here than you kind of think of Mariana, just like ground and pound, right? They're adding an interesting twist, so they're fun. RJ Mays in there at quarterback can really kind of put it on a dime. I love his touch. Over on the other side, you talk about Bettenhausen, and then they got a little transfer here, Braden Sampson coming over from Freeport. That's almost 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in addition to the backfield that you've already got. It was 48-14 last year, but I think Mariana's going to give them a lot better game this season. And this is kind of one of my check boxes. I'm really interested in what this game has to offer.
Yeah, that's going to be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Also in Bay County, you have Rutherford taking on Mosley. That's a great season opener for both teams. Dolphins riding high. They got a lot of talent that they're going to be putting on display. But don't sleep on Rutherford too. They've got a lot of young guys that are looking to grow up very quickly. Then you also have North Bay Haven. They'll be hosting Freeport. And then Bozeman hosts Holmes County. That's going to be a big matchup. Coach Sweat taking over the reins of the Bozeman program. And they will have their hands full with Holmes County. Bozeman, of course, coming off of that fantastic season. They lose a lot of talent, but they're young, even though they have a few pieces left over from last season. But, really it's going to be about how they handle the 15 starters that come back or that are returning from Holmes County. The Blue Devils had a great season too. Last season, it was Chipley, Holmes County, and Bozeman. They were just battling it out week in and week out. But the Blue Devils, they're coming off that 9-3 season, a playoff caliber team that really was trying to go the distance, and they bring back a lot of talent. But the real question is, I think Holmes County looking to go into Bozeman and finally get that win that they could not get last season. So this will be a great matchup. Definitely looking forward to how it plays out. And then moving on around the area, Lincoln going down to Orlando, taking on Delaware Valley Trojans, will open up the season. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's on Disney property. So that'll be a fun experience for them. Then you have Sneeze taking on Cottondale. That's going to be a good matchup too. I definitely like what Coach Thomas had to say just about his team. They lost a lot from last year, but they're also bringing back, I think they returned 10 starters from last season. There's just going to be a lot of intrigue to it because we haven't really seen Cottondale in full strength. So this will be good, a good opener for the Pirates. And then Osceola Christian taking on Taylor. They head down to Central Florida to take on the Taylor Wildcats. Then Childs heading over to Alabama to take on Dothan. That's going to be a really good opener for Coach Reagan's and his bunch.
Yeah, I think traveling up that road a little bit, Coach Bill Reagan has done a great job. I watched him last year, and he got the Timberwolves moving in the right direction. I think they're on an upswing, and I look for great things out of them this year.
Yeah, this is going to be a great contest for them, kind of really earmarker, hey, where are you at? And it's going to be a tough physical team. This is a big 7A Alabama squad. They went 8-3 last year. They love to run. I think they're bringing back their 1,000-yard rusher. And I like Cameron Montez on the line for Childs. He's going against a Southern Mississippi commit, McCain Williams, I think it's pronounced. But they got a fully loaded squad over there for Alabama. But I think Childs is going to give him a good run. Of course, Dothan, I've been told, is only played out of state twice against Florida teams, and they're 1-1. So we'll see if Childs can tip the scales, give us a winning record on the good side of the border, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's take a look at Gaston County. Man, this team is loaded, and they are going to the Peach State. This is one of 4 out-of-state games for them on their schedule this year. So they're going to be we just go ahead and call them the Road Warrior Jaguars. They're going to be wearing out those white jerseys quite a bit, but this is one of the bigger schools in Central South Georgia taking on Tift County, but man, I have to say, man, that preseason game with Gaston County, they looked legit. They looked the real deal. Really like the way their offense looked, which is kind of something we haven't seen from Gaston County in a while. But Tristan Davis at running back was absolutely lethal when they played Venice in their preseason game. And then Landon Doherty threw 2 touchdowns. So the weapons are there. And then, of course, it's going to be the defensive will probably be the star, as it will be a committee of Jaguars that will be looking to step up and kind of push them into a different level. This is probably the most balanced Gaston County team I think we've seen since the Corey Fuller era. So this is going to be one of the most exciting week one matchups. I'm really looking forward to that one. Let's go ahead and go over to FAMU High. DRS will be taking on Baker as they head west on the Panhandle. This will be a great opener for Coach Wise. The numbers are there. It's just how fast and how quickly can Baby Rattlers put it together. Then we got Florida High taking on Denellen. Good matchup for the Seminoles. I think that, Coach Hickman definitely will really try to rebound from the preseason and get his team rolling. Then we got Jefferson taking on Hamilton County, and this is going to be a good matchup for the new look Tigers under their brand new head coach. But definitely don't sleep on Hamilton County. This is a team that's also on the upswing too.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. I didn't want to say fun. I said it so many times last week. This will be an entertaining matchup. I got to work on my vocabulary, gentlemen. Of course, it was a little bit one-sided last year here, but Hamilton County, they lose their leading rusher. They lose their big breakfast boy on the offensive line, Tarver, who was just full of pancakes. And Jefferson, like you said, on the come up here. I like Langhorne Jr. He kind of slings it. He's a good young quarterback. He's coming back again for his junior year this year. And Jefferson and Hamilton, I like a little county matchup here out to our east here at the capital city.
Yeah, that's one of those places where that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I always love taking in a game in Monticello. Just something about, that kind of venue where, it feels like Friday night football out there. Madison County hitting the road, heading down south, taking on D-Land. And I don't know if you've seen Madison's schedule. You and I had a chance to talk about this last week when we were previewing team schedules. Madison County plays up at least, I think, 9 of their 10 games on the schedule. They are playing outside of their classification. So without saying, we know the Cowboys will be battle tested come playoff time. The question is can they stay healthy through this brutal schedule? And it starts with D-Land. Madison is young, 9 seniors coming back. Kamari Scurry, one of the top defenders coming back. It's got offers all over the place, but really, when you look at the schedule, it's almost like one of those things where we know that this will set the tone for Madison County. If they can find a way to navigate through this schedule, there's no question in my mind that they will be ready for the 1A for the rural playoffs. Should they remain healthy if they get there? So to me, those are the biggest questions. We always know it's running back and superstar by committee out there in Madison. So I expect the ball to be moved around a lot. It's just whether or not they can hang with schools that are bigger than them for this week one game and throughout the regular season. So big matchup, but we don't expect anything less from the Cowboys. Franklin County, one of those teams that man, gotta love what Coach Cooper's doing down there on the beach. But man, this is going to be one of those where they'll get a chance to really open it up here against Bronson. This is going to be a really good matchup for them.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks. I think they do pretty good. Bronson is a team that's not very often have winning season, so it might be a great matchup for them to start the season off.
Yeah, for sure. I think these two teams combined 1-18 last year, but I think Franklin County's on the upswing, like we talked about last week, Mark. I'm liking what they're doing. Checking out the film from their preseason, they look really strong and explosive. Coming out of the run game, like you said, Coach Cooper with those Wakulla ties knows he's going to keep the system and the offensive line strong. I'm liking them. We already saw Bronson a little bit, there in the SSAC, I think it is. And so they actually started their season last week. A little bit of a rough one for them. Lake Weir was all over them. And I think Franklin County should be having an entertaining matchup here. But I don't see 0-10 happening again here, guys, throughout the course of the season. I think it's on the upswing, and I'm buying low here with Frank Clowney.
I love it. I love it. Let's go ahead and take another trip across the pond. The Maclay Marauders have touched down in Ireland, and they're going to be taking on Wyndham out of New Hampshire in Dublin. That's going to be a super fun competition for them. I really like the opportunity that's been presented. For the most part, Maclay, we really got a chance to see them up close and personal. This team is looking to break out. They've got weapons. The quarterback is healthy. I look for them to put on a show in Ireland. Getting down to the heart of the schedule, this is another rivalry that's just so historic. It's so much history between Suwannee and Columbia. It's just one of those games you just have to circle it by default right now when you see it on the schedule. The Bulldogs really, in my opinion, Coach Hall is definitely had, his share of, just kind of the ebb and flow of, a team that's very senior heavy versus a lot of young guys to develop. This is just going to be one of those games where who's going to be able to start the fastest, because both teams definitely, you kind of throw out, the superstars and the records. This is just one of those games where it's just, you got to have it. And I think the players look forward to it as much as the fans do, simply because, the closeness and proximity that these two schools have and the history.
Well, Mark, I used to have some dealings in that area, and it is a serious rival. They use the same radio station. I was a few years ago, I won't mention the coach's name. He didn't realize he was doing an interview, and they had played Suwannee, and the next thing you know, he was talking about they're gonna beat Columbia. They had it all over the locker room about what he said. He didn't realize the radio station, the same person, did both cities, and it was kind of funny. He was real nervous. I talked to him after the game. He said when they walked in the locker room, he saw all that stuff on the wall, what he said, and the head coach was looking at him like, "You didn't really say that, did you?" He didn't realize. But this game is one of those marquee matchups for the whole state of Florida. They've been battling for a long time, and I think it should be a great game.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, unfortunately, both of them not really escaping preseason without injuries. The big middle linebacker, Sogaras for Suwannee, and then, of course, the quarterback, Collins, for Columbia, down with a MCL sprain as well, gang. So, unfortunately, sucks that you have to bring that up. But it's been, if you believe Max Preps, 11 straight for Columbia, gang. So, the Dogs are chomping at the bit to get one over. Down there. They're playing at the Tiger Den, which to me is one of the hardest places to play in the state when they're rolling.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I look at just the number of alumni that have come out of this game and the stories that they tell. You mentioned I know I think it's Jernigan looking to be on the staff for Columbia, and that just has such a nice feel of nostalgia. So this will be a big game. Definitely have to keep our eyes on it. South Walton taking on Gulf Breeze. They'll be hitting the road at least 8 times this season as their new stadium's being built. Lafayette taking a trip, not taking a trip. They'll be hosting Dixie County, and then Vernon hosting Jay. So that'll round out the week number 1 schedule. I am looking forward to this, but let's go ahead and jump while we still got some time left. Let's go ahead and jump into the 2-minute drill. Gentlemen, I guess this is where we really gonna have to put the money where our mouths are. Let's go ahead and run through it right now. Let's go ahead and start it off. Rickers versus Godby. Let's not shy away.
We know who's gonna win that game.
We do.
Yeah, the Rickers Raiders, baby.
I'm not turning my back on Tharp Street for nobody. So
you don't need
proud alumni. I'm rocking with Godby on this one. I think Godby will shock some people.
Don't be obvious, man.
I got to. I'm not gonna hide my pride.
You're gonna break the tie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad I'm here to break the tie. I'm with Rick. Both sides of that line. It's big and bad, guys. I gotta go, Rick.
There you go.
I'm okay being the oddball. That's all right. It's Charles at Dothan.
Wow, that's a tough. Can I say toss up?
You could.
Push. Yeah. Coach is pushing.
I don't want Bill Reagan to beat me up. I'm just, we'll go with a tie.
All right, let's keep it going. Gaston County at Tift. I got the Jags on this one.
And against who? Tift?
At Tift County.
Oh, okay. I got Jags.
Yeah, I got
like
Jags.
What I saw last week. I like what I saw.
Yeah, I did too. Florida High at Denellen.
Florida High.
Going with the nose on this one.
Keep it local, Florida High. Yep.
First thing, I got a question. Are we keeping score? Who has the best?
I'll keep score. I'll watch it back if you want to coach.
I know the fans. I know everybody watching this will be keeping score. I can tell you that right off rip.
God.
Lincoln taking on Delaware Valley down in Orlando. I'm rocking with the Trojans on this one.
I never heard of that school, so I'm going with the Trojans.
Lincoln, we've had success with Delaware Valley from the Big Bend in the past. Give me again.
Yep. Swanee and Cottondale. Who you got?
No, that's not wrong.
That's not Swanee.
Oh, excuse me. Swanee and Columbia. Excuse me.
Where the game at?
Columbia.
In Lake City.
It's in Lake City.
Is that your deciding factor where it's played?
12 in a row.
Yeah, it's mine too. It is my deciding factor. I'm going with the Tigers on this one. I think they extend the streak, but I definitely think Coach Hall and his group definitely might have something to say about it. Keep it close, but I definitely like the Tigers on this one at home. Now this is what I was reading. Sneeze taking on Cottondale.
Wow, Cottondale had a pretty good season. Coach, where's the game?
Sneeze versus Cottondale. I like the Pirates on this one.
It's at Sneeze.
It's at Sneeze. It's at Sneeze.
I'm gonna go Cottondale too.
Okay. Jefferson County at Hamilton County.
Was that a fluke last week? They beat up on FAMU, so I'm going with Hamilton County.
Ooh, give me Jeffco.
Yeah, I'm rocking with the Tigers on this one. Madison County at D-Land. This is a tall order.
Cowboys, safe pick.
Yeah, let's go Madison. Looked good last week.
All right, and then last but not least, Wakulla hosting Port St. Joe.
Oh, that's Wakulla.
War Eagles are young, but
they hosting. Nobody goes to that place and beat them.
It is hard to go into J.D. Jones Stadium and win. I got the War Eagles on this one.
You say Port St. Joe, that means Tanner is going to his dad's stadium, so he gonna get his butt whooped.
Yeah, I'm with Wakulla too. I agree with Coach.
I'm trying to get him to call me.
Well, hey, and this is a great week one matchup. This is I'm definitely looking forward to how this is going to pan out. I'm looking forward to seeing the games wherever I can catch them. So that'll do it for this week's edition of the Extra Point. Fellas, we'll have to come back next week and chop it up, especially because we'll have the rewind for week number 1 as we preview week number 2. And we also got to talk about some top performers. So I want to encourage all the coaches, send in your nominees this weekend after the games. We definitely want to shout out some guys who got the job done for you on next week's show. So that'll do it for myself, Coach Cofield, and Andrew Jew. We'll catch everybody next week for another edition of the Extra Point by 4 Quarters Online.